Welcome to Pet Sitter Confessional, an open and honest discussion about life as a pet sitter. Today, we're brought to you by our friends at Time to Pet and Dog Co. Today, we are super excited to have Shaheen, owner of Aunty Shan's Dog Care, on the show to talk about her journey into pet care, lessons that she's learned along the way, and how she stays consistent with the high quality of care to her clients and her professionalism. Shaheen, I'm really excited to have you on the show today and dive into this. For those who aren't familiar with you, though, could you please tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. So I'm Shaheen. It's been quite an interesting journey because like when I started this pet care business, everyone was like, my clients weren't surprised because they were like egging me on to do it. Like, you need to start your own business. But my family were like, huh? They were a bit like, what? Like, what are you doing? What now? But no. So I originally had I started off with a 16-year career in admin PA work, working for the National Health Service, for local councils, most recently the education sector. Prior to that, I studied business administration, executive PA diploma. I did medical terminology, legal secretary. So I really kind of just fell into admin. And then I got to, and then August 2023, I launched Aunty Shan's. It was Aunty Shan's Dog Sitting and Walking initially because as part of what I offered, it was walks as well as dog sitting. But then I later realised, actually, I want to focus on the whole package rather than doing walks at strange times of the day, random, I decided that it was just better to be dog sitting and walking rather than doing the two separate. So that's how Aunty Shan's Dog Care came into fruition. I already knew I was the crazy dog lady because any conversation with friends or anyone, like, and there's a dog anywhere, I will just stop. You could be talking to me about the most serious matter and I'll just stop for a dog. Like, I'm just obsessed with dogs. And then I started on the pet care apps, not really thinking anything of it, just in my spare time, looking after dogs, having a wonderful time, etc. And then I visited a pug cafe, actually, which was newly opened at the time. And I had the most amazing experience. I think there was 6 or 8. There was a few resident pugs at the time. I had the most wonderful time just having pugs smother me and run around and jump in a ball pit and just being the most wonderful creatures. And they were looking for volunteers, so I applied, and then I ended up volunteering there at the weekends when I wasn't working and doing all the other things I was doing. And then I worked for them on the weekends. It was a volunteering opportunity, which became a paid opportunity. And I think that's where I really realized, actually, because when you have such a stressful job, there was like an imbalance at that point where I was doing something I really loved, I really enjoyed, and then I'll go back to my normal day job and I've been absolutely miserable because it was so stressful, like incredibly stressful. And I'm like, and the imbalance just wasn't, it wasn't working out for me at all. And then something significant happened with a dear family member of mine around August 2023. And it made me realize that life is too short. And we live in a world where you literally can be anything. It's not that I will like the old days of dial-up internet and yellow pages, which, I don't know what you had in America, but over here you would have like a directory, and it was a big paper directory booklet that we posted to households back in the olden days, whenever that was. And I wasn't fulfilled in my well-paying job. where I was working 40 to 45 hours a week to get my 45 days off a year. Yeah, I just wasn't happy working for someone else. It was really draining. Waking up I think it was waking up 5:30 in the morning, leaving for work at like 6:30, starting 7:30. And I wasn't fulfilled at all. It was really draining and it affected my mental health. As I wasn't able to fully take the time to deal with anything personal, if that makes sense. Yeah. And work was the escape, and you should need to work to escape reality. And I wanted a life that I didn't need to escape from, if that made sense. All I was getting from that well-paid job was false happiness. And the truth is, I've been through a lot in my life, in childhood, in my teenage years, in early adulthood. I'm also a survivor of domestic abuse and violence, and for a long time I never had the space or the safety to actually heal. I was always working, always pushing, always surviving. Doctors tried medication, I was referred for therapy, but nothing ever truly helped because I never had the time or the headspace to breathe or process anything. And it was only until I left my 16-year career and gave my life to dogs that everything changed. Being with them every day made me realize I wasn't broken. I was just living the wrong life. And when I stepped into the right one, everything changed and my whole world did a 360. Dogs teach you so much without saying a word. And they taught me patience, presence, trust, and how to feel safe again. And this is why I empathize so deeply with rescue dogs. No dogs aren't children, but they absolutely feel fear, sadness, confusion, and trauma the same way. And there's something magical about looking after a dog who hasn't had an easy start, because I understand that feeling. And watching them slowly trust me, open up, and show love again, it's beautiful. Every single time it feels like a blessing. And even with the dogs who aren't rescues, the anxious ones, the sensitive ones, the ones who need a little extra understanding, I'm grateful that I get to be part of their journey too. I'm grateful that I get to live a life with purpose now, where I can make a difference in those dogs' lives and their parents. This work healed me in ways nothing else ever did. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Your life can change the moment you decide you deserve a different one. Every dog I've cared for has taught me that healing is possible, even when you don't know where to begin. I survived so much, and I never imagined my healing would come from 4 paws and a wagging tail, but it did. And if my life can do a 360, yours can too. Dogs showed me that even the most wounded hearts can find their way back to joy. And if you're listening to this, I hope you know your story isn't over. You're allowed to choose a life where you can breathe, grow, and feel safe, just like the dogs who love.
That's that's a point that you reach. I mean, reaching that point of understanding that you had this 16-year-long career, you had training in this thing, you had all of this stuff that you've been working and kind of been doing admin and more admin and this PA work, and that's where you were moving and grooving. I mean, what was that like personally to realize that you had just been living in a level of false happiness, though?
It's really sad, actually. Like, that you kind of like, you thought this was what you was meant to be doing, but you actually realize no. But it was actually quite freeing to finally realize this is what I'm meant to be doing. And that's why I felt how I felt within my 16-year career, if that makes sense. It was kind of like a weight lifted off my shoulders. Yeah.
There is kind of that I don't know, like this grieving process of like not necessarily like old you, new you kind of thing, but an old vision and a new vision of, well, that's where I thought I was headed. And actually it wasn't what it was all panned out to be. And as you said, like in a day and age where you can be anything, you can do anything, there's so many more opportunities. It's easier to get in than ever.
Exactly.
To know, like, I mean, so when you made that leap, August 2023, I mean, I'm sure it didn't come without fears and anxieties, though. I know you're viciously shaking your head. No,
Yeah. I mean, so I launched it part-time August 2023. I thought the sensible thing would be to get clients
and complete some courses to gain knowledge. So I did exactly that.
So I already had clients from the Pet Care who did on board onto my pet care business, but I needed more, and which is why by December 2023 I was able to launch full-time care, because I think I enrolled by that point 15 or 20 pet clients, and because I managed to do that, that gave me the confidence to that, okay, let's do this, because I've got people relying on me now. I had bookings in, it happened so quickly. Like, it was a lot of hard work. You know, every single minute, second, hour I lived and breathed building that business, whilst working this incredibly stressful, crazy job. And a fun fact, Ofsted, which is the school inspectors over here in the UK, turned up a week before I left, and they were overdue by a good few years to turn up. So that was a nice present. Yeah, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I've been working here for how long? They were meant to come like 2-3 years ago. They haven't come for 7 years, and you come the week before I'm meant to leave. Like, thanks for the leaving present. But yeah. Just when you think things couldn't get more stressful, that happened. But no, it was fine. They passed. They got an outstanding rating. But yeah, that happened. Also, I knew I still wanted to do the admin, because dogs is my passion, and I had to think about
bills and other expenses,
things like that. Yeah, it was important that, yeah, so dogs is my passion. And then, so now I'm actually, I guess one of the biggest fears was figuring out the other part of what I was going to do to be able to make it work full time and in the long run, which was to get an admin role. So I became a virtual assistant. And the beauty of that is it's with a client who I've worked with 10 years ago, and it's flexible. It really works alongside the dog care, because they allow me to prioritize the dogs. It's not set hours, not set times, etc. It's when I can do it, which is amazing. But then I also needed to like find another VA client. So more than anything, I think more the fears and everything was with figuring out the other part of the income, because obviously you just started out, you can't be charging people when you're just starting out. There's some kind of compromise. So yeah, I didn't have no fears starting a dog care business. I think that was the right thing to do. I think the other part was, how am I going to pay my bills?
Which is a legitimate fear, right? And I think it's definitely one of those, and because it's a different mindset shift to go from, oh, I read like. Because we did something very like similar, where it was like, okay, I was working my 9-to-5 job, and we had always kind of done that. And it's one thing from like, I'm receiving a paycheck to I have to generate my paycheck.
Exactly.
And that was a mindset shift that like I had to work through on how does that actually work? How do I go about generating my income?
Exactly. So yeah, I really put myself out there. I worked really hard. I eventually did get my second client, but it's really tricky. But honestly, if you have a career behind you and you're like, right, I really love dogs, and you want to set up your own pet care business, it is doable. It is possible. It just might take some time getting there, because it wasn't until it took about it nearly took almost a year for that VA income to be enough to be like, okay, I can stop worrying and stop stressing now. Because I guess when it's very different to dog care. Dog care, you can showcase your skills through, I don't know, videos and photos and things like that, and you get all these reviews and, whereas when you're a virtual assistant, because it's me supporting another business and people are quite precious about their businesses, and it's quite scary to let someone support you on your business, no matter how much you need that business. You definitely need to prove your skill set a lot. It's much more difficult, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
'Cause it's a little bit more behind the scenes stuff,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Versus the flashy, showy photos that you can post online.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Time to Pet? Chris Ann from Raining Cats and Dogs has this to say.
Becoming a Time to Pet client has been a game changer for us. We can give our pet services clients real-time, cloud-based information they never imagined they'd be interested in. And most importantly, to me personally, I can better manage my company and look forward to more. And not a small thing, Time to Pet is responsive to my requests for new features and modifications to existing ones.
If you're looking for new pet sitting software, give Time to Pet a try. Listeners of our show will save 50% off your first 3 months by visiting timetopet.com/confessional. So when you went full-time in December with your dog business, how were you attracting those clients and onboarding those at that time? And has that changed since then?
Yeah. So I was doing a lot of advertising, so leaflets, business cards, going to like pet stores, any pet related company.
The cafe I worked at previously also put out my leaflets on their shop floor, which I'm very thankful for. Thank you.
Facebook groups, word of mouth as well, which was so important. So the people who onboarded from those that were on the pet care apps were now recommending me on Facebook groups, which was amazing, and I'm so incredibly grateful to them. And just thinking of incentives that would get people to try before they fully invest. That's really important. Like for your first sit, you get, I don't know, X amount and off. Because again, I just first started out, and although I had some, I had some reviews and I had people onboarded from the pet care apps, etc. It's just building that community, that reputation, etc. And when you don't really have that, you need those incentives. I guess, how has it changed? I mean, I'm still pretty much doing the same things, and I am probably getting more shout outs on Facebook, etc. That's a good question, really. I mean, I'm pretty much doing the same thing. I don't think I'm doing anything different apart from my monthly newsletter, for example. I've got a fully functional bookings calendar on the website so people can see when I'm available. And I think that helps as well, having a website, which I launched in January, other than what is on your social media, pinned to your social media accounts. Yeah. There's only so much you can say, isn't it? Yeah,
there is, and then it's the website is a major component, and I know it's pretty easy to push that off and be like, okay, I don't need one, that's kind of old, let me just have a Facebook page. But really, a well done website is it works for you 24/7, and it's brilliant that you've got that availability calendar, because I know it's a question we get a lot. Got a lot of people who just call us and they're like, "Hey, are you available these dates?" And I'm like, "What?" I mean, yeah, okay, sure. It's a weird. I'm like, okay, oh yeah, I got to figure out how do I communicate this? How do I talk about this? And just have This is kind of the one place for truth. And that's not to say you can't post on social and you can't, put it in your newsletter and these things, but like the more places that you can have it, the more likely it is that somebody's going to find it and learn about it instead of having to take up your time, direct message or in a phone call or whatever like that.
Exactly. And also the calendar on the website was actually a godsend. I did actually have one before, which was like the Outlook one, but that's like stopped functioning.
Ooh.
Yeah. There was like a link, an iCal link used to send, and now that doesn't work. So I had to put it on my website. Because I was getting texts, and it's not really possible to be able to switch off, if that makes sense, because you don't know. Yeah, you just don't know when someone's like, what's your availability? You might be like half asleep, and like, because people message you at all kind of hours. So it actually really helped have the calendar be like, here's my calendar, like make sure I advertised it and gave everyone a link via WhatsApp, and now it just made things so much better. So if you can have a calendar, have one. And you gain more time as well, actually, because you're not spending time answering everyone's question about when are you available? Why are you not available? What are you doing?
Yeah. Well, and I imagine like that kind of thing of like clarity and purpose for things. I'm like, that sounds like something that's come from your admin background. Like what other things have you brought in how you run your business?
My background as a PA has really, really helped massively. And I noticed this when I'm on sits with more than one dog who have different needs, and they have like, I don't know, different ways of eating. Like some like to eat here, some like to eat there, some like to be hand fed, some don't like to be hand fed, some like this at this time, some like that at that time. And it just helps to like, time management. Knowing what a dog needs before they think they need it, for example, attention to detail, being able to understand certain situations of when thing arises, and knowing how to problem solve sometimes on the dot. Thinking one step ahead. There's just it's just so, and even like operationally, like the service mindset, making pet parents' life easier. I don't just turn up to a sit or overnight stay. So for example, if it's a day sit or evening sit, I email a schedule. I'm like, this is the draft schedule. Please amend as you see fit. If it's an overnight stay, it's a longer email. It's got the weather, it's got walking, like it's got the schedule, it's got I'm asking for updates, or if there was anything from before that they need to update me on. Like it's really in depth. And then you got on the day, which is obviously providing updates, etc. And then afterwards checking in and making sure they're okay, the parent's okay, the dog's okay, and everything's, if there's any feedback, etc. So I guess I have the mindset, like my brain tells me to do that because of working as a PA. It helps me to kind of figure out what will make parents happy, what will make them feel reassured, what will make them feel at ease, and make sure they have a lovely time away.
I absolutely I had to write all that down because I love how you send the pre, like, hey, you're traveling, here's what I expect to be doing, and then you're basically asking them like, is this okay? Give me feedback on this, because one of the biggest issues that we run into in the kind of service industry that we are in is unspoken expectations. And I'm sure in your line of work as a PA, like that was all you encountered every single day. People would say, hey, could you take care of XYZ? And they'd just be kind of like the hand wavy on the details. And we're like, no. I need you to define what you need. like I need you to, and it's that instinct of like filling in the gray areas, filling in the unknowns that really is like, and once you have that information, then like you don't have to ask as much the next time, because then the client really knows that they're seen, that they're heard, that now all of those preferences and proclivities that they have, you've got saved for them. So the next time it's even more seamless, and it just becomes this very naturalistic relationship. And then on the follow-up of was everything to your satisfaction? I mean, that's a scary thing to ask. Like, I got to be real. Like, there are some visits I know we've done over the years where I kind of walk out and I'm just like, I don't know if I want feedback on that one. Okay. But the only way we know, it was like here are the expectations, let's define them. And then did I meet them? And it's the only way that we can get better for next time.
Exactly. And unlike being on the pet care apps where it's like, here's my dog, bye. That's just, it was just, most of them were okay. But yeah, most of the dogs I look after now are rescue dogs, and there's complex needs, and there's very special things that I need to really take care of.
I mean, it seems like, people say, hey, give the pill to my dog. Right. Okay. We could say, great. Okay. I'll give the pill to the dog. But then there's that little inkling of like, well, how do I give the pill to the dog? How do you give the pill to the dog? Can you walk me through you giving the pill to the dog? Like, I'll take notes on this, because it's like, we've had it where years ago we didn't ask, show me how you give the pill. We would just say, great, I know how to pill the dog. Awesome. And we'd be like, hey, I couldn't give a pill to the dog. It wouldn't take it. And they're like, oh, all you have to do is this thing. Oh, I never would have thought that. Okay, great. It makes everybody's life easier, but it's finding those ways to, define this, say more. And it can feel sometimes like we're burdening or being burdensome, but the others on the back end, it could be a bad experience for everybody if we don't do that. Exactly. So we've really got to steer the other direction.
Exactly. Like most recently, I had someone message me. They're like, can you walk my dog, etc.? Oh, they're now wearing booties. And I was like, what? Booties? She sent me a video, which was so helpful. And she showed me how to put them on and stuff. So I'm sure it wouldn't have been like difficult, but I also asked, how is he about putting these booties on? Like, is there anything he will do? And she was like, actually, yes, he may run under the kitchen table, which is so helpful to know. And then she's like, but I stand over him like this, and I put it on like this, and 9 times out of 10 it works. But it's good to know them things. Like, it just manages things so much better for yourself. And because the worst thing is to go to a job and you're not told something. And it is what some pet parents don't realize, it's quite stressful to be put into a situation where you're now dealing with something they haven't told you. I feel like people think, oh, you've been doing this full time for 2 years now. You must know everything. You must be a magician. You must be able to like do everything. It's all good. Like, it's going to be fine. Like, my other dog sitters are fine with my dog. You're going to be fine. I don't think this is necessary. I'm like, yeah, but I just want to be sure that I've covered everything. So, yeah, because the unknowns are just the worst, aren't they?
They are, right. And how many times do we get in a situation where we're like, where the heck did this come from? We notify the client and they go, oh, yeah, they do that sometimes. And it's like, I'm sorry, this would have been wonderful to know that you're right. Like, oh, great. Adding to the notes. Okay. And it just starts to become this thing of we're just trying to find that boundary and find those gray areas and make sure that we're crystal clear, because, we talk about, like, I have to set both ourselves up for success and the pet up for success, because if I don't have all the information, not only can I not be excellent, but they're going to be put in situations where they're uncomfortable, and it's really going to go south.
Exactly. And key to make sure the dog feels safe, they feel happy, their routines isn't disturbed, and everything is quite in line with what their parents do. Then it doesn't feel like, who is this stranger in my house doing all these things? And why is she blooming mess this up, kind of thing. Like, they could talk. If they could talk, honestly.
And now, a word from our friends at Dogco Launch.
If you're ready to take your pet care business to the next level, then I want you in the room at the Dogco Business Summit, October 2nd through the 4th in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. We have brought together the very best speakers we could possibly find, and we are getting the best companies in the room to help give you the path to grow and scale your pet care business. Go to dogcosummit.com to learn more.
So you've got this system set up. You said this 3-stage process and how you're getting information and things like that. What other kind of, I don't know, like values or philosophies do you have that shape how you work in your business and kind of things that you do?
I 100% thrive on excellence in dog care. It isn't just about the dogs, it's about their parents too. As a business, I'm really big on family values. These dogs and their parents are my family. And with that family bond, you can actually create magic. Because not only am I choosing to deeply understand their pet, but also their parent who takes care of them. And that's especially incredibly important when you have a rescue dog who's, for example, got stranger danger. And you're coming into their home and they're like, whoa, who the fluff are you? Get out of here. Like, one of my dogs, everyone says she's my favorite. I think everyone will know who I'm talking about when I say this. She's not my favorite. It's just been a bit remarkable journey. She came to the country from Europe. She really, like, lots of stranger danger would bark. She had to be on a lead when I first met her, etc. And now we're literally like her best human ever. She absolutely adores and loves me, and it's the most wonderful thing ever. And it makes me quite emotional thinking about it, actually. Her journey's been so incredible. It's been so great to work with her parents, their trainer as well, who I've just learned so much from them. Yeah.
You mentioned, working with the trainer, deeply understand the parent. Why is it so important to you to have that connection to the owner?
Client relationships are so important, and having open communication, because when you don't have that relationship, and if you don't have a relationship and if you don't have open communication, then it may make things a bit awkward, I guess, in a way, if that makes sense. Because, as I said, I'm not just there to be like, hi dog, bye dog, understanding why did they rescue this dog? So their values, what do they believe in? What matters to them? And then you, as a pet carer, can take that on. It's just great to have, I'm really into psychology and stuff. And I think you just need the whole picture. It takes a village, Yeah.
I love that. Why did they rescue this dog? What are their expectations? What kind of life were they hoping to lead? Because then we can come alongside them and go, it's much easier to then to say, hey, I can help you with A and C and F over here, and I can refer you to the trainer for B and D, and now we are all working together, and when problems do come up, we are grounded in the same foundation of why we're all here. And I think that really changes the kind of, like you said, like the communication that you can have with somebody. When I know we certainly have clients who, it'd be hard for me to go to them with a tough conversation because we're just kind of like loosely on the same page. And then there are others where it's like, I could come to them with anything and they'd be like, yeah, let's talk. Like, as long as it's in alignment. And that then gives us freedom and so much more peace of mind, because I don't feel like I'm having to walk around on eggshells. I don't have to feel like I've got people who I'm like, it's the most bizarre thing to be in business and you have an antagonistic relationship with your client. It's like, what? Why am I even doing this? Like, what is the point here? Like, you're not even happy that this is happening. I'm not happy that we're here. So, but I think it's like, but you can find yourself in that, especially if if you feel like you're desperate for clients, desperate for income, have to take on everybody. But when you have this, like, why do you have this dog? What's your history with this dog? What do you hope to come up? Because then that means you get a lot of more value alignment with who you are. And it makes it so much easier to show up.
100%. You literally hit the nail on the head.
Well, I was curious, when you launched, what was the market like where you launched? It's August 2023. You're launching this service. You're trying to grow your base. What was the rest of the pet care options like where you are?
So obviously there's a competition with, there's always going to be competition with people who offer it free in exchange for accommodation, which is wild to me. Oh my goodness, the amount of arguments I see on Facebook about pricing, and I just can't in my right mind understand why you wouldn't. Because to me, people are like, oh, your pet is not your child, but you would look after them almost the same way. It's no different. It's a living being.
Yeah.
You wouldn't. Here's my baby. Here's my house. Can you look after him for free? Like, why would you do that with your pet? You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's just always going to be a thing. You've got people who want to have free pet care or want, pet care at a very small price. But then you've also got to wonder, like, what are you paying for? Like, what price? Because what are these people offering if they're not valuing themselves and because there's more to it than looking after the animal. As I said, there's planning work before, there's planning work afterwards, there's all the things in between as well.
Well, I think it's just speaking to, there's always going to be other options out there.
Exactly.
And I know we definitely see it. It's good. It's just everywhere. And I'm always thinking, hey, who can I partner with and who can I refer to whenever we can't or don't want to take something on? Let me get my partners on. And then I also just have to realize that there's going to be a segment of my market that they're just going to be off doing their own thing. And I just kind of have to let that go. And because what happens is if I know if I focus too much on what other people are doing, I don't have the time to be putting in the focus and effort on my clients and the people who actually matter.
Exactly.
And so it's kind of going, hey, it's not like stay in your lane thing. It's a focus on what's important thing. And who is important? Your clients are important, and making sure that relationship is good. That's true regardless of whether you think your market is saturated or not saturated, or if people are doing things for free or for way more expensive than you are. It's, am I valuing my clients, and what kind of relationship do we have?
I let it go over my head, really, because there is only one you, there's only one me, and it's your superpower.
Yeah.
Whatever anyone else is offering for lesser than that, it is what it is. I'm so grateful to all of my pet parents who I've onboarded there, all incredible people. I'm so grateful, and I'm kind of glad I'm not the person where any type of person, if that makes sense, would go to be like, yeah, I want your services, sort of thing. There's kind of like a blessing in disguise with that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That you do get quality people who really care about their dogs ask for my service, because you understand deeply, how important it is to have someone like me who's dedicated. And I do it, it's as I said, it's a passion of mine, to look after their pet.
Well, you were also awarded recently Dog Sitter of the Year for the Southern region. Is that right?
Yes.
So, what was that like, getting that recognition?
Oh my goodness! So, Animal Star Awards, May 2025. I was. It's just, I was, and I'm so honored, honestly, because it provided clarity that I am doing something right. Because when you have your own business, you don't have a line manager. You are the boss. There is no one telling you what you're doing is right or wrong. I do everything myself. I created my website from scratch with like zero web. Like I did some web editing, etc., and administration in my previous role, but I'm like no like proper advanced skills in like web development or anything like that. I create everything that you see: content creation, the website, bookings, planning, preparing for each thing. Everything is me. Like I have no one telling me this is the right or wrong thing to do. So it was just so nice it was just an icing on the cake to be like, okay, I'm heading in the right direction.
That's, again, congratulations on that, because that's huge. And like that is fantastic. And to have, I love how you put that. You had clarity about that, because you're right. Like, we're running our businesses. I don't have anybody overhead. Like, sometimes I just have to think, okay, well, clients keep coming back, so I guess I'm doing something right?
Yeah.
Like that means something if they keep giving me money for this. Okay. But to have that broader recognition of, no, here is somebody who's setting a high standard, and here's somebody who is doing amazing things. It's like that kind of pat on the back is like just, it's phenomenal to know all that hard work that you continue to do is like, right, this is meaningful and this has purpose, and I'm on the right path here.
Exactly that. Yeah, definitely. 100%. I get a bit emotional just thinking like, I still can't believe it. Yeah, little me would be like, if you told me, I don't know, 10 years ago that
Would happen.
like you gotta be having a laugh. Like, what are you talking about? It's just wild. It's been a wild, yeah. I'm so grateful, honestly.
Well, I know there are listeners who are sitting here listening to us have this conversation, and they may be struggling to like do something different, make a big change in their life. I mean, you've been there, you've done that. What advice would you give them?
I think just go for it. If you don't try, you won't know. And if you don't try, you won't grow. That's one key piece of advice. You know, life is too short to procrastinate. You only have one life. So make it the best life you could ever live. And rather than focusing on what could go wrong, focus on what could go right. How could this thing you dream of doing or want to do change your life for the better? And weigh that up against what you're currently doing. And the chances are this thing you're putting off doing is far better than what you are currently doing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it is. And especially when you have like that idea of, I don't know, like we got to a point where we just kind of thought, why don't we just try this? Like, why don't we just, what's the worst that could happen? And I still have those thoughts of like, well, if this ends up not working out or whatever, like I can always just like go find something else. And that, not like we'll just might as well try it, but there's a lot, I think ultimately there's a whole lot less risk than we originally think about it. If we really think about, well, I'm working a 9 to 5. I could just lose that tomorrow. Like there's no real guarantee there. And just going, well, if this is a passion, if this is a direction I want to go in, why don't I just try? Why don't I just see what happens here? Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything starts from an idea. And it's because a lot of people as well, which is a lot of people spend their entire life figuring out what they want to do and never come to that realization because they procrastinate or they push it to one side or they think it's a wild idea. But if you think about how many people out there had a wild idea and it worked out for them, I think you just need to focus on the positives. Do lots of research, encourage yourself, look at all the famous people that tried something at 40, 50 years old and now they're like successful, for example. Do you know what I mean? Like you're never too young or too old to try anything new, and it could be the best thing you've ever done and you'll thank yourself for it.
Yeah. I mean, you started because you had a period where you had an incident with the family, right? You went through this tough time and you realized life was too. How is that now on this side, being connected with those bigger things, and how you use your time and how you have that, relationship with others. What's that like now?
Yeah, exactly. So it's actually strengthened my bond with my mum. Yeah, she loves animals, but I've never seen or heard her laugh so much. Like, we bond over the dogs I look after. I'll be on a video call and this dog's doing something crazy on its back, grilling its teeth, smiling, or just having a zoomies or something like that. It's been absolutely, it's so beautiful. But yeah, it's strengthened my relationship with my mum, which I'm really thankful for. And it's also like, although you wake up every day and what happens in that day, or, what you've got scheduled that day, it's your choice, it's your decision. It's not someone else deciding that for you. And that's really valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how do you, it is to be able to go, I have choices. And I think that's just very empowering. And it's also like, because there are some times where we feel like our hand is forced of like, well, I can't do that because I have to do this other thing. And I've really had to watch my language around the have tos. Like, do you? Do you? Yeah. Like, do you really have to do the thing?
Yeah.
You don't, like, there's no, and that allows you to, like you said, go, and it's because it's a constant reminder to me of why on earth did I start this journey in the first place. For us, it was so that we could spend more time together as a family, and and with our kids, and do that family stuff. Does my decisions in my business align with more of that, or is it taking me further and further away? And that's a constant tug and pull of running your own business and dog walking and pet sitting and the pet care of it never stops, right? That's the other thing of it's always there. There's always somebody who needs you. So we have those seasons of, okay, well, I need to go this way and a couple more directions, but I always need to make sure that I'm moving more and more towards the thing that I want and why I started this. Because if I look up in 5 years and I have less time with my family and less connection with my dad and my brothers and my kids and my wife, like, that's bad. I might as well have just stayed where I was in the first place. And really maintaining those boundaries is really important.
So important. And it can be really tricky, especially like explaining to like family members or friends, and like, I'm not like, they're like, are you available next weekend? I'm like, no, like, my priorities kind of change, but I can prioritize you. You just need to give me some notice, that's not a problem. Like, so that's been a bit tricky, but overall, all in all, it's just been a wonderful thing, to be honest with you.
Shaheen, I want to thank you for coming on the show today and sharing your story, encouraging us to find those things that we're passionate about and not waste time in false happiness. I have some notes that I need to review in this, and you've really got me thinking about a lot of things as well. So for those who want to get connected with you, follow along, or continue with this conversation, how best can they do that?
I'm on Instagram and Facebook. Mostly Instagram is my main social media page, which is Aunty Shan's Dog Care. You can email me at auntieshan@auntieshansdogcare.com. You can also WhatsApp me. Click the button on my availability page at auntieshansdogcare.com. That's AUTY shansdogcare.com.
Okay. Well, I will have those links in the show notes and on the website for people to get connected with you. Shaheen, this has just been an absolute immense pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
My favorite part of my conversation was when Shaheen said, if you don't try, you won't know. And if you don't try, you won't grow. Proof that it really is never too late to build a life that you love. No matter where you're coming from or what your background is, you can start today. You can walk away from what you thought was making you happy, the direction you thought you needed to go or wanted to go. Face your fears, use the skills that you have, and then elevate where you are headed. Build that life and build that business that helps you get there, and make sure that you are defining success on your own terms. We want to thank today's sponsors, Tying to Pet, and our friends with Dog Co. Launch for making this show possible. And we really want to thank you so much for listening. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll be back again soon.